You are live on YouTube, live on TikTok. Fun interacting with host and other viewers in real time. And remember to create a safe viewing experience following our community guidelines. It's 10:30 here in the Central Zone. It is 11:30 on the East Coast. That means it's time for Atheist Underground to go live with the Atheist Brunch. What's EWE? You are number one. You even beat the little notification that I got that they're notifying viewers that I'm going live, which I don't believe is doing. Nanook, G Quincy, Bisco Hibbage, CSO Meyer, non crazy cat lady, my girl. What's up this morning? D Shillo, Atheist 12 for lifer. D Shillo again. Thanks for joining 2 times in a row, my bud. You get 2 toots out for that. Big Kev 666. Dead Wolf Walking. I love that. Madam Tuck. Are you related to Friar Tuck? That's cool, man. My favorite Sunday crush is here with me as well. I love you. Thanks for the likes, baby. John 14523. DDAWS 1221. Tap the screen for those likes, people. We are on YouTube. I am alone again. Producer Jay has been so busy he has not been able to join, and that's too bad, but he'll be back sooner or later. Fallen for yesterday. Primal. Rewoo. What's up, baby? Hi, how you doing? Wafo, Texas. Hydla. Wesley Pascal. Cape Pasa 721. Craps teacher sends likes. Thank you, Craps teacher. Do you teach people how to play craps? Are you promoting gambling out there? Danny Garcia. A TikTok for my dogs. Biz 2020. Him. Dion Lachey. You, sir. Rob Purisma. Theme Park. Mr. Ron Taylor. Emerald Dragons. Thanks, baby. Love your theme. Love your TikTok, says Theme Park. Nerd. You're a theme park nerd? So am I. Did COVID shut you down from going to theme parks? I feel like it did me. I didn't go last year or this year to Great America, which is right down the road from us. And a really, really pretty decent place for roller coasters. I actually like spending time there. Betty Florence, my girl, what's up? Randall Reed, Luli Fanon, greetings from Mississippi Stan. What's going on there? You feel like you're in a theocracy living in Mississippi? Christopher King, 783. Hello, Betty. Cheeky Dragon. Yeah, safer than a Walmart, right? Where was I yesterday that we were say, oh, we're gonna go out for breakfast, and there's like not a lot of breakfast places in this town, but one of the ones that we went to was so crowded. There was literally like people crammed in there like this waiting, and it was like all these old people, nobody with masks, and everything. It was just like, you know what? Let's go to a place that's got a little more room. Heading over to see Dan right now. Oh, cool, Spitz Farts. What's up, man? You going to Madison today? That's sweet. Yeah, bring it up. And I know it's busy time of the year. We could do it after the convention if he feels like it's too busy. So not a big deal. But that's exciting for everybody who hasn't seen. Spitz Farts is Dan Barker's son, if you can believe it. Dan Barker, for those who don't know, co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and really one of the most famous atheists on the planet. Friend of mine, father of Spitz Farts. So go follow Spitz Farts if you want to. And he is trying to talk Dan into coming on alive using his account. Dan's, doesn't have a TikTok, but he can use Spitzfart's phone and Spitzfart's account, and we can do a dual live one day with Dan Barker, the head of FFRF, or the co-head of FFRF that he runs with his lovely wife Annie Laurie Gaylor, who founded it with her mother and Nicole Gaylor all those years ago. They met on Oprah. It's a great story. If you've never heard the story, you can Google it. Dan Barker, Annie Laurie Gaylor. They met on Oprah, and you can just see him. Make a Google that. She was a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. She still is, but I mean, when she was 30 or 32 or 3, it was just like, wow, yeah, you can see falling in love with her. You got on TV with her. It's a real Oprah story. That is lost because it's about atheism, right? And everybody remembers Tom Cruise jumping on the couch, but the Dan Barker and Annie Laurie thing is charming. It really is. Awesome. Thanks, the ZZZ lady. Sin-free atheist. ¿Cómo está mi amigo mexicano? Follow Sin-free atheist if you haven't. Cool guy. And a handsome man. Somebody was giving him shit for looking too European, right? So tell me you don't know much about Mexico without telling me you don't know much about Mexico. It's a fucking huge country. Every Mexican does not look like they have a lot of indigenous blood in them. And somebody's like, "You look too European." I mean, what the fuck, man? What kind of comment is that, man? You were really patient with that, making a video for that. It cracked me up. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. It's just like Mexico's got cities with blonde people in it. Do you believe in space and science? Salty Beach 33. Do I believe in space? Yeah, yeah. Science is not something to believe in. It's something to accept after discoveries are made and verified through peer-reviewed research papers. It's yeah, not something to believe in. But you don't have to believe in it if you don't want to believe in it. I guess. Do you believe in space? Uh, yeah, it's true. It's crazy, man. Um, what's up, Nana in Virginia? Thanks for joining. The halal dude is here. What's up, halal? You got some nice halal meat for us? There's a nice butcher down the market that serves up some halal meat when I when I want some shawarma. I love Middle Eastern food. Who doesn't? Thanks for the likes. Do you believe in reality? Morgan A's. I believe in my reality, like everybody else does. Matthew says Joseph's father was Jacob, while Luke says he was Eli. um, Joseph Jesus' father or Joseph from the Old Testament? You mean, oh yeah, because that Jacob, obviously. Um, yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know that. Daniel Booner. Daniel Booner says there's a biblical contradiction for us. Starting out the day. Ex-Catholic from where? From what flag is that? My eyes are bad, and I'm not familiar with the. Is that France? Right? Red, white, blue, white, and red, up and down. Is that France? Um, Thanks for loving my channel. I love you. Thanks for being here. Greetings from Dominican Republic, Republicano del. How do you say that? Es un dominicano. Eso es lo que sé yo. Bienvenido. Uh, República, no? República Dominicana. There's no judgment or afterlife. No, of course there's no judgment or afterlife. The idea, such an infantile idea, right? Of the law. There's a one day you'll stand before God. God's line gets a lot fucking longer as the decades go by, right? It's like he started out with what, when this bullshit was written, he started out with like what, a couple million people maybe. I don't know. I'm just making it up, but whatever the population of the known world was, it 4,000 years ago. To like 7 bit. Now he's like, fucking hey, these people got to quit having babies, man. I'm never Judgment Day is going to be like fucking 30 years long for me sitting here talking to all these assholes, man. Do you think religion plays a role in keeping the dumb in check? Yeah, well, it certainly does. I mean, and people have commented on that before. Religion exists to keep the poor from murdering the rich, and it exists to keep stupid people stupid, and to keep them in line, to keep them from acting out. I don't know. It's obviously a control mechanism. You can always go for tacos al pastor. They're pork. I love al pastor tacos, my friend. For sure. You love my limericks. Thank you, Esk Eddie. Thank you. Um, yeah, I hope to have more limericks. The problem is they get me in trouble, and the last limerick got taken down because it was an anti, Islam limerick. It was making fun of Muhammad and his love of large animal organs, shall we say? Not trying to get my live taken down either. But that one got taken down right away, and I got that gets me banned, and then it gets me shadow banned, and I'm really trying to not get blocked and banned off there. I want this channel to grow. I feel like we're reaching people. I feel like we're doing good. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I'd really be bummed out if I was, I got to have to start over from the beginning and try to rebuild what we've built up here. So yeah, I will do more limericks, and I may take the limericks to a different platform and just do the limericks there. If you like the limericks, they're fun, and they're one of my favorite things to do. They're not as easy, obviously, to produce as some of the other videos. So it does take, yeah, República Dominicana. I knew it. I knew it. Uh, I don't meet a lot of Dominicans. We meet Puerto Ricans, even Cubans, but not a lot of Dominicans where I am. But yeah, the limericks will be back. I'm not going to give them up, and if I have one that I can put up that I don't think is so offensive that it's going to get me blocked, I'll go ahead and put it on this channel. But like I say, it's the ones where I act and the ones where I have to do a costume and oh, you're on YouTube too. Thank you, Ree. I see that. I'm trying to spin my head and keep looking at the YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube if you can. It's on the bio. But yeah, I got a couple limericks in line, and like I say, they take longer to do, so I don't bring them out as often as I would like to. So we don't have to lead our life in fear of God. No, you don't have to live your life in fear of God. That's silly. Karen's out there. Yeah, she is an introvert who is trying to figure out how to help. The world is broken. I'm an introvert who is trying to figure out how to help. The world is broken. Yeah, I can't empathize. I've never been an introvert, obviously, and you're helping by doing what you're doing right now and coming on alive and joining and helping those of us who are creators and those of us who are extroverts. If you're supporting us, then you're helping. But there's lots of other ways you can help. There's atheist groups that you can join that are, and a lot of those groups are full of introverts. They're like book clubs. They don't want to be vocal. They don't want to be public. They want to have a discussion group and they want to talk about interesting things with friends with like-minded thinkers. And I find that those groups are actually full of introverts. So if anyone's got an idea how an introvert can help with the movement, then put it out here. We'd love to know. Letting go of religion is liberating. Thank you, Patsy Stockler. She's our introvert. Love you and love introverts. Do you think the universe has a purpose? No. Um, Hey, Blue Jay. What's up, the Blue Jay? What's up, Newfie Daledo? What's up, brother from another mother? What's up, my brother? How are you this morning? UK2 Philly. Thanks for the follow. Get on the TikTok and follow. I feel like it did get shadow banned again because of the limerick that got taken down, and another video got taken. Now your TikTok is so fucked up with that shit. I got a video taken down. I appealed. It got put back up right away, but I still had to not. I still had to take my ban. I still got banned from posting for 3 days. What's up with that? If there was nothing wrong with the video, why is my ban still in effect? And all of a sudden, the followership has slowed down. Whereas for a couple of weeks, it seemed like it was over, and I'd made some progress in not getting my live stream taken down, and I'd not gotten any videos taken down, not gotten any violations, and then I feel like the shadow ban goes away. The algorithm probably there's a certain amount of time, and if you don't violate any of the community double standards, as I like to call them, they'll put you back on, and wham, I got another 10,000 followers real fast, and all of a sudden now it's like it's grinded to a halt again. We all love Christopher Hitchens, and we miss him. He was great. Where do you believe existence came from? You need to read science. I don't believe I understand how life began on rocky planets because I've interviewed scientists and I've talked to people who study those kind of things, and I've read about cyanosulfidic chemistry, and I've looked at enough of that stuff to understand that our existence comes from 4.8 billion years of the Earth uh, being here to evolve life to this point. If it's, I get that it's hard for people to get their head around, um, but that doesn't mean it's not true because you can't understand it. Good morning, my fellow anti-theist. Good morning. Evil is Reagan. Evil is evil Irish grin. Evil Irish grin. Everyone should have an evil Irish grin, shouldn't they? You started reading Lovecraft, right? I've never really read any Lovecraft. And the guy did that show Lovecraft Country. Did anyone want to watch that? Where the kid wanted to be that kind of a writer, I think, and it just didn't grab me. I think I watched one episode and I was like, yeah. Lots of younger Americans preaching Christianity. Sadly, yeah, maybe it seems like that, but the numbers are undeniably down. There's millennials and Gen Z don't give a fuck about religion compared to generations of the past. Um, there's a whistle for you, my bud, Mike Oxlong. Mike with a Y. There's a whistle just for you for asking. A Godless Kansan got tagged. Thank you, Eric, for tagging Godless Kansan. That reminds me, Kansas with a real victory today. Boomer, what's up? Look for an environmental group to join and support. River Keepers have lots of local chapters, and there are many others. That's advice for the introverted atheist. Thank you. That's a great one. And there's lots of atheist groups, and you can do highway cleanups. You can do stuff like that, and help out with food drives and whatnot. But speaking of Kansas, the Wichita uh, city council passes a non-discrimination ordinance and rejects the religious carve out. Really, really good news from Kansas, a notoriously fucking religious state. In the heartland, the breadbasket, where I want to say Kansas was where the spaghetti monster made his debut because the guy who made it up, I can't think of his name, made a Russell's teapot kind of counterpoint to um, the myth, the myth of God by showing that there's there he could believe that in a flying spaghetti monster. They wrote it as like a thesis or something like that, and that's how the whole thing came to be. And that was in Kansas. So we know Kansas is ridiculously religious. The school board in Kansas is trying to promote religiosity in the textbooks and yada yada. But here, Wichita, who has an openly gay member on their city council, first one in the history of Kansas, I'm sure, rejected the religious carve out for non-discrimination. The council rejected a carve out that would have allowed religious groups to fire or refuse to hire LGBTQ plus individuals at will. An amendment proposed by City Council member Jared Cerullo, the first openly gay man to serve on the council. So good job for them squashing an attempt at religious exceptionalism, giving people the ability to go ahead and discriminate, even when discrimination should be illegal for everybody. Religious people are like, but it's against my firmly held religious belief, so I don't want to bake a cake for these homosexual people. Eh. So disgusting. So good for Kansas. Was the Big Bang Theory the start of human life? No, the Big Bang Theory was only in the 60s or something, or 50s, or I don't know. But what do you mean the start of how could the theory be the start of human life, Stephen? Um, if monkeys did not exist, we wouldn't. Yeah, well, humans and apes come from a common ancestor. We didn't evolve from monkeys per se. That's why they're still monkeys. But yes, humans and great apes evolved along separate lines from a common ancestor at some point in the past. Uh, thank God Kansas is solid red, or thank God for what I talked about because Kansas is solid red. I know you're not thanking God that Kansas is solid red, are you, buddy? Um, does the train whistle work? Yeah. Illegal space alien, it does, and you get one. Thank you. What's up, Lilith? Hello. How can we reduce religious indoctrination in schools? It says you have to fight it. You have to fight it. I fought it openly. I fought it loudly. I made enemies. The school board hates me, but they will all do it. If you have kids in the school board, pay attention. Just pay attention to what's going on there and go complain. Complain to the teacher, complain to the principal, complain to the principal's boss if they won't do anything, and complain to FFRF or the ACLU or American Atheists can help you out with lawsuits. But FFRF exclusively does those kind of lawsuits. If you have a situation where the teachers and the school are actively proselytizing to your kids, you can get that stopped. All right. I mean, it's never going to go away completely because they're always going to try to slip it in there, but at least overt acts, putting stuff on the walls, posting, or requiring kids, giving out Bibles, all of that kind of shit. The government can't do, and the public school is the government. So if you have a complaint like that, send it to intake@ffrf.org and detail it as much as you can, and they'll look into it. If it's below the radar and they're not going to get anywhere, they're not going to waste time on it. But if it's wrong, if it's um, uh, unconstitutional, then they'll take care of it. And they took care of it for me, and it was fucking brilliant. Thank you for being blocked, you idiot. What did you do? There's no preaching on the train. Yeah, I didn't go over the rules. No spitting, no loud radios, and no preaching on the train. If I see you preaching, I give you the conductor's whistle and I boot you right off the train. But my awesome moderators are here to help with that. And if they catch you preaching on the train, they will kick you off because we do not want to get mass reported by people trying to catch me because I'm very catchable. You can definitely get under my skin with that shit, and I'll say something ugly, and then they'll be like, you're bullying me. And yeah, we will never evolve as an interplanetary species by wasting time remaining in the past. Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, who's that? Insightful eyes. It's true. We need to let go of religion so humanity can advance. Yes, I'm a gamble these atheists. Yes, I'm a gamble these atheist haters into death, or haters of atheists, or atheist haters. Atheistic reasoning says you are so great. Thank you. That's awesome. Nice for you to say that. Thank you. Sorry, that was a weak whistle. Uh-oh. Ace Men. No preaching on the train. Bye. See you. See who will save them. Finally, a live feed that isn't the word teaching. Yeah, I get that every week when I go live. People are like, finally, an atheist live. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that TikTok is so full of Christian live. I have no idea. Yeah, and TST will. Thank you, Sin Free Atheist. TST will help you start a Satan group for kids if they're forcing religious groups on your public school. You can start a Satanist group at that school, and that'll, believe me, that'll get it shut right down because they don't want that. They don't want other religions, especially not Satanism, to do the same thing that they're doing in schools. You know what I mean? So they'll quickly back right off of that and say, oh, okay, we won't go there at all. Fools professing wisdom. That is indeed what religious people are. What's my deal with trains? Are you new here? The atheist Eric 1972 2. Um, It's a virtual railway, the Atheist Underground, like the London Underground. I feel like Americans don't know, because it seems obvious to me when somebody suggested we call it the Atheist Underground. It was obviously because a lot of atheists are underground in the closet, and here we are, an underground group in society in America because we kind of have to be. But it immediately evoked in my mind the London Underground, which I spent many days on back in the '80s. That's what they call their subway system because it's largely underground, my friend. You get it? So I'm like, all right, and I'm a train lover, so I'm like, all right, let's make the podcast about a virtual train moving around different areas, different stops of a city that's secular, and have the podcast be about themed around that stop each time. So it was just a virtual railway that we made up, and that's why. And when I made up the TikTok, I just decided to go with the imagery, and it took off as a brand. So here we are. I did grow up Christian. Thank you, G.I. Chavez. Congregationalist, mainline Protestant, very liberal. Nobody thought that Genesis was literal. Nobody thought much of the Bible was literal in my church. Nobody shoved Jesus or the devil down my throat or hell. Every time I say Jesus Christ, my friend says is my savior, and every time he says it, I say isn't. Yeah, you hang out with a religious guy. Look at I got all Mandalorian day going. I got hot peach herbal tea, and I got my Mando hoodie on today. Mm-mm-mm. What's up? The gayest twink is here. My guy. Where you from? Florida Patriot 850 says, well, we're in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but I'm from Connecticut. I grew up in the military. My dad was in the military, so I moved around for the first 5 years. But once he got out of active duty, went into college, and I was 5 or 6, or we moved to Connecticut, and that's where I grew up from there. So I'm a New England guy. Watching my Red Sox take care of business yesterday. That's right. Hey, Bohemian Lucy, what's up? Mountain Dew is where it's at. Mountain Dew. You talking about bluegrass music? Or you talking about? Oh, you're talking about the drink. You're drinking from a cup just like that. Sweet. I got it at the Disney. Overpaid for that at the Disney store, my friend. Keisha Hendricks. What's up, my baby? Hello, hello. Love you so much. Thanks for sharing the video. Use a lot of numbers. Christian mythology. God made imperfect beings punished for being imperfect, which he already. Yeah, that's just so dumb. I mean, I don't know. And it seems like people have spent so much time breaking it down, and the people who made it up are like, "Oh, this is really deep." When in the end, it's like so easily debunkable. It's laughable. I really have a hard time believing how many supposed deep thinkers spent so many years and their whole lives really, diving into this deep concept of a God who needed to sacrifice himself in the form of his son in order to save us from the sins that he created us with. It's just also stupid. You're addicted to Baja Blast? Someone told me Baja Blast is nothing more than Mountain Dew mixed with blue Powerade. I don't know if it's true or not. Christian teaching gave me so much anxiety as a yeah, how about it, man? Just the little prayers we learned. I've said it before on the show. Um, Thank you for the world. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Can you believe that? That you're gonna tell a kid that they tell us say a prayer that admits that you might die while you're sleeping when you're fucking 5 years old, man. I used to lay in bed going, I might die tonight. What the fuck? It's so abusive and ridiculous and harmful. I cannot get my head around it. Gaining atheists. What's that mean, Luke? Yes, of course, we're gaining atheists everywhere all the time. And then they say those Christians aren't real Christians. I changed that for my daughter. What the prayer? Yeah. FF Mountain Laurel. What's up, my girl? May angels watch me. I used to see images of the devil on my wall as a child. Yeah, and if no one had taught you what the devil was, you wouldn't be like, "What's that an image of?" Right? It's just you see those things because people put it in your head. Uh-oh, blue line. We'll think for you. Do you believe in any Scientology? With a small s Scientology? What's that mean? Do I believe in any Scientology? Um, I don't know what that means, buddy. Isn't there only one Scientology? It's a made up religion that was based on science fiction and pieces of other religion that a dude put together to make money. I mean, there's some help. There's some self help ideas I think in Scientology that are gripping that really were very powerful for people, and that's why it gained popularity, especially with actors. I've talked about that too before. Actors go through rejection and a lot of brutal, hits to the ego when you're trying to make it as an actor. And I think that some of the self-help ideas that are in Dianetics, lend themselves to improving an actor's state of mind when they're in that situation of constant auditions and constant rejection. So I think, like a lot of books like that, Dianetics was originally written as a self-help book, not even, and then he recast it as a religion, and then it got successful. It did nothing but lose money at first. So I haven't read it, and I don't really care to, but I believe that there's probably some things in it that are common sense stuff as far as building your confidence up as a human being. I support the police, but when the police force becomes abusive, I won't. Yeah, well, I mean, we all need the police. This whole, let's get rid of the police. No, that's silliness. But we do need to refund, as in redistribute the way that the police uh, get their money, and we need to put some of that money into social workers who can take care of the things that we rely on the police for. Domestic situations can be better handled by people who are qualified, and that's part of what the whole deal is. Hola, guapo. Black cat claw. They've been messing with us if they're real. Who has? I know I missed some stuff here. Um, because as usual, I get talking and then I miss the scroll, so I apologize. Um, is anyone following La Palma volcano? It is showing how much of the land we enjoy was made over billions of years. Amazing. What is that? The Boomer on YouTube, Boomer you on YouTube. Tell me what that is, Boomer. I'm here for you, buddy. I'm paying attention. Anyone following La Palma volcano? It is showing how much of the land we enjoy was made over billions of years. Amazing. You're talking about, land being made by volcanoes. Yeah, Hawaii is the only state that's getting bigger because the volcanoes are active and they're gaining some inches a year. So yeah, so a lot of the land we enjoy would not have been here. Hawaii itself wouldn't be there if it wasn't for volcanoes. It sounds like a cool. Is it a show? Is it a documentary somewhere? Um, the immunity for cops is the number one problem. Yeah, immunity from them being prosecuted for shooting people for no reason. So yes, there is an afterlife. It's called death, Stephen. Thanks for asking. Stephen HL32 um, says the Bible teach to be rude and arrogant towards others. The Bible doesn't teach anything. The Bible's a book that people read and take what they want out of it. The Bible itself doesn't teach anything. That always bugs me. You know what I mean? It's like a clock doesn't tell time either. You have to read it and interpret it. It doesn't do anything by itself. So yeah, the Bible doesn't teach shit. Vulcanologa, vulcanologa, erupting in Spain. Is that it? Un vulcanologa. That's a hell of a word there, Black Cat. Uh, yeah, volcano with oh, eagle's wing. What's that mean? Captain J. Grant, you're obsessed with the skin flute, buddy. Um, do you think religion is toxic? Yeah, I think it can be toxic. I think there's probably a lot of religions around the world that aren't terribly toxic, but toxic religion is something that happens to all religions as soon as they, get to a certain point where they create, sects of fundamentalists and whatnot. So yeah, in general, I don't know, is all religion toxic? Probably not. Is all religion a net negative on society? Probably. It means you are missing out on knowledge. What does? Tom Barber. There's one for you, buddy. But I don't know what you're talking about because I'm missing some of the thread here. Bear with me, but my thinking is outside the box, outside the perspective. We're here for you. A Spanish island off the coast of Africa been flowing for a month and destroying massive banana plantations. Wow. Yeah, I'm not up on current events. I got to get back to. I don't have a. The news is just so bad. Where you guys get your news, man? Let me hear where you get news that you think you can actually trust and rely on to be objective anymore. Um, I go to Twitter, if I see something that, and then I try to look at a number of things, but stuff that I can't watch the network news. The daily events of the world that sometimes get lost on me for a little bit because I'm so busy. You like CNN? I think they're just, they're so reactionary leftist. I feel like their whole fucking reason for existing is to bash the right, which is not news to me. I don't mind bashing the right, but I want objective news. I don't want, every day to turn on um, CNN to see what the liberal left is screaming about today, that the crazy ass, remarkably stupid Republican right is up to. You know what I mean? I don't find that to be compelling news anymore, and I feel like CNN is really gone downhill. You think CNN is corporate moderate? TYT is the left. Okay. Um, I subscribe to the Skim. Okay, maybe I'll look at the Skim. More people have been slain in the name of religion than in anything else. Yeah, I get a lot of kickback on that. When people are like, actually, religious wars are always about territory and politics and religions. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not sure that that's necessarily true. It's partially true, I think, but I think religion is responsible for plenty of fucking wars and killing. Period. Most news is just as much about making money from entertainment as many others. Yeah, you're right about that, and it's disgusting. I wish I actually I see Al Jazeera sometimes. I feel like they have at least a different perspective, um, that I don't feel is like American propaganda. Even the BBC, people. I used to think that the BBC would give you a bit of a worldly perspective on the news, and now people are telling me the BBC is just as bad. So it's like, who do you trust, man? Icelandic National Broadcasting Service. Who doesn't love Iceland? God, I love Iceland. I've been there and it's fucking fantastic. So sins we commit, we are not punished for. There is no sin. What is this? What's with you, Stephen? There's no sin. That's a religious construct. People made that up to scare people. With God, the only sin is harming others. But yeah, no, we're just animals. We're just another animal. When you fucking die, you die and rot. No mosquitoes where? Oh, in Iceland. Yeah, makes sense, right? PR Radio N. I'm saying, how does humans get the structure so well designed for the pyramids? People don't give the ancient cultures very much credit, do they? When you didn't have a pocket square of or a rectangle to have in your face with the internet all day long, and you're playing Candy Crush, and you're wasting your brain on fucking mush and sports and whatever else you're fucking doing as a shitbird, uneducated American these days, or anybody else. It's like people back in the day when all you did was work on stuff all day, really, really, really got some shit done. I'm the last guy who's going to come down on ancient civilizations for being, completely useless. They obviously could build the pyramids, and so they did build the pyramids. Was that like an alien thing? I'm not sure where that came from. Uh, are we missing any tools or designs unknown? We're missing all the stuff we could have developed if it wasn't for people in religion blocking us. How dangerous is religion? How dangerous is ISIS? How dangerous is Christian nationalism? It's the greatest threat to the advancement of the planet, in my view. Is this a trick? I feel like I keep ending up in magical sky wizard cult live streams. That's what people say, but no, you are here. We are atheists. We're atheists for you. I feel like there's a lot of atheist creators who do lives, and I don't know. We probably just don't get promoted like the religions get promoted on their lives. And there was more of them, and they have more followers. I'm constantly blown away, um, by how many followers that these Christian creators, these cynical preachers, these wide-eyed, blue-eyed, blonde, disgusting conservative pieces of shit who get on TikTok and make a Christian channel. It's mind-blowing how many followers they have. It just goes to show you. It's like you don't have to have an original thought. All you have to do is spew the crap that the undereducated want to hear, and they will follow you. Somebody was like, I got kickback on the idea that most people are followers. Is that new? Is that like a radical idea that most people are born followers? Most people, by a huge majority, are hardwired to follow a leader. That's human nature. It's very, very much different to be a leader. That's why there's only a few leaders and there's lots of followers. This is not a hard uh, uh, question to get your head around. But somebody's like, how do you know most people are followers? What? Open your fucking eyes. How do I know most people are followers? Yeah, somebody fucking made that comment. Thanks, Anthony Ward, for the likes. Jerry McCain, JD Jr. What's up, Anthony Wards? Your king has arrived. Your king has arrived. Thoughts on Dan Barker? We just talked about Dan Barker. Hopefully, going to do a live with him. Uh, this dude Spitzfarts is his son, who is a mutual of mine and a creator on TikTok, and right here in Janesville, Wisconsin, of all places. Ooh, that's a town right there. No, there's no Satan. What? Steven, how old are you, bud? So strong they could snap us in half. Who? Were you raised Christian? And if so, how difficult was it for you to escape? It was easy for me. I was raised Congregationalist. It was a liberal church that promoted critical thinking and didn't jam biblical literalism down our throats. So it was easy to get over it as soon as I got out. But yeah, Dan Barker's great. I know him. He's a friend of mine. I can call him up when I want, and I'm going to see him again in November at the FFRF convention. He's a genius piano player. If you haven't ever heard him play, he can break down any song instantly on the piano and then fill it. He's a savant on the piano. It's absolutely amazing to see. And a great thinker, a great ex pastor, ex preacher, ex Christian, speaks Spanish, and he's a Native American. There's a ton of shit going on with the guy. He's just fucking great. Ever notice people question how pyramids were built, but not Colosseum could be low key racism? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I just talked about that. I think that taking that away from the Egyptians is fucking crazy. It's literally all they had to do, and they had armies of slaves to help them. So, it's not surprising that they could get stuff like that done. They weren't stupid. I hear the big preachies say that science atheist is a religion. Yeah, because they want us all to be. Thanks, California Dreamer. They want us just to be just as stupid as them. You see, they're just the same as us. They have their own religion. They have their own preachers. They have their own holy books. They have their own doctrine. They have their own dogma. They have their own faith. They can't deal with someone who's not like them in that way. That's why they're more accepting of Muslims and other religions than they are of atheists. It's it's a really really common phenomenon. So, um, how would the U.S. look like without religion? It would look like probably it would look like uh, more like Belgium or Germany or Denmark, where like the technology that they have and the engineering and the stuff that they have is all brand new. The infrastructure is renewed. The innovation is 10 times greater than it is now. Which I mean, America still has plenty of innovation. Still a world leader in some ways in education. We have more universities and more institutes of higher learning and technology driven innovators than a lot of places still. But 50% of the country are weak-minded, undereducated fools, and the attachment to religion is dragging us backwards. And it's deeper than that. I mean, it's the lobby, the corruption, the status quo, and the people that run it don't want to change. That's why we can't have bullet trains here. We can't have alternative sources of energy. We can't have anything that really moves us forward as a species because of politics and religion. So, to me, you know, the U.S. would look like one giant Singapore. I think without religion, it would look like amazing, advanced, sound, strong. The best of everything in every city and every town everywhere. We wouldn't have places with no internet. We wouldn't have places with no cell service still. We wouldn't have people who are starving. We wouldn't have it was just it's disgusting. Religion is literally a blight on America. What else we got going on? Toby N. Pearson. What's up, my bud? Luke Hess. King Cognitive. Thanks for being here. Uh, it's the indoctrination of children. If every parent would teach kids blue is red, how do we defeat? Yeah, the indoctrination of children is again, it's down to the school districts. We need education reform in America on such a huge scale. We need to teach kids as soon as they get into first grade. They need to be taught world philosophy and world religion. When you expose all kids to all religions, it's inoculation, right? If you expose them to one, it's indoctrination. Just did a video about that, and I'd never heard that saying before, and it's fucking brilliant. But that's the key. We need to fix education in America. It's broken, and it's full of Christian teachers who think this is a Christian country, who were raised. Now I'm old enough to look down at the generations behind me that came through school after me and are now teachers. And those people were miseducated, and now they're miseducating the youth, and they have the government at their back. It's really sad. Hey, dude, what's up, Volvo fans? Not saying that's needed or anything, but oops, but it's just a fact in many places like I missed the first part of that. Ironically, now is 2021. What's up, man? Not saying that's needed or ironically, many of the places that are the most developed had suffered some major wipeouts like World War II. Yeah, I mean that's true too. I think that that probably does play into it that they, America didn't get bombed and blown up in World War II like a lot of Europe did, and it's undeniable that's made a difference in both their lack of religiosity compared to us, um, and the fact that they had to rebuild a lot of their cities from nothing. I simply don't have that much faith. What's that mean? Unconsciousness produces consciousness, and non-reason produces reason. One true message, the One True Message Foundation. Sounds religious, my friend. Uh, oh, a Muslim listener. Thanks, man. Support the Dawah. Yeah. Thanks for being here. You don't have that much faith, but you have enough faith to believe the rantings of a 1400-year-old megalomaniac who wanted to recreate society in his image. It takes it's one of those things, right? It takes more faith. It takes more faith to be an atheist. We were just talking about. What's up, Mel Fitty? Mel Tree Fitty 666. Go follow my girl. Where you been, baby? Haven to be true. Lucky Gallops. I wish I had the faith that you have to be an atheist. Don't you love hearing that shit? It's so much faith to be an atheist. What? Just like Canada. What's just like Canada? I showed my Christian sister and she won't look at my art. And I'm missing the first halves of a lot of these comments. I apologize. My mom brainwashed her grandkids, but hates other religions other than Christianity. Well, that's how it goes, doesn't it? Stem cell research was set back in the U.S. was set back and delayed for over a decade because Ronald Reagan's spiritual advisor could see the future. God, yeah, Reagan really started it all, didn't he? What a putz, man. He fucked up the country bad with that shit, and he might have been the right guy at the right time, considering what certain things were going through. But now, in retrospect, um, Reagan really started the born again steamroller going in America. That was, it was started before that with Billy Graham and Eisenhower, and since the '50s, the whole television and all. But Reagan really like solidified it with the whole "just say no." And I remember going through school because I came through high school right before Reagan, and when Reagan came, the kids behind me in school all turned into these little blonde, blue conservative, blue coat, blue blazer wearing conservative shitbirds, and the whole culture of the country changed from the post hippie period into this neoconservative, nasty bullshit. Um, why do we exist? Because we procreate, and we're an animal on a planet that is full of animals that procreate. That's why we exist. It's the American century. It was the last century was. This isn't. I doubt going to be seen as the American century. This is the Chinese century. Um, there was a fire near Reagan's California ranch. I say pour water on the hill and let it trickle down. Oh, I see what you did there. Nice, California Dreamer. You get a big toot out for that one. That was funny. Let the water trickle down on Reagan's ranch. Explain nothingness after death. It's like before you were born. Do you remember that? Or do you remember being in a waiting room where your soul was thinking, this has been an eternity. When am I finally going to be fucking born? I can't wait to slide out through a vagina and live for 75 years and then go back to what, waiting somewhere for eternity with your soul. That's explain nothingness after death. I don't. I'm sorry if I don't mean to be snarky, but it sounded like a snarky comment. If it wasn't, and you're truly interested, I guess you know, I don't know how else to explain oblivion to you other than do you remember before you were born? Do you remember what that was like? Was that particularly painful for you? Death can be peaceful. I hope. Why would it be anything but? You're going to be unconscious with no thoughts and gone. Oblivion. I was raised Roman Catholic and have an excruciating life, so I prayed to God and Mary for nothing. Yeah, yeah. You prayed for nothing. You prayed for your own, satisfaction in your mind, because of thinking that prayer is going to help calms people, and the act of praying calms people, um, in the same way that different activities and cite or excite the brain in those kind of ways, taking drugs or dancing or meditating or repetitive motion, rocking yourself if you're an autistic person. All these things are, they do what your brain needs to do to calm itself down, but actual getting shit done, prayer is as useless as anything on the planet. I have a couple of questions. Do you watch Matt Dillahunty on Atheist Experience? No, I don't. Atheist Experience is great. I know people love it. I don't have time to sit and watch YouTube, and so I don't. What do you think about the one electron theory? Don't know what that is. Quoth the dead. Quoth the dead. Love that name. Don't know what the one electron theory is. Thanks. That's something to look up. Um, turned to atheism at 14 and never turned back. Mr. Michael 0687. Nice. Anna breaks for Fraggles. Good morning, my love. How are you? Have you seen any Fraggles lately? There's a turkey that hangs out in the city here that I had to break for. It like literally was standing in the intersection like a crossing guard or like a traffic cop. And when people would stop to not run it over, it would like follow the car back. I watched the car go back and forth. And if you moved backwards, the turkey moved with his tire. And if you move forward, the turkey moved with his tire. This is a friggin' turkey. It's this big. It's a giant ass tom turkey just chilling on the streets of Kenosha. And I love seeing that. Wildlife is fucking brilliant. And there was a long time in my youth in the post DDT period where you didn't see anything. You didn't see bald eagles. You didn't see bluebirds. We were losing, um, creatures. And now they've come back strong, a lot of them, and are just getting comfortable with human beings in the city. And wild turkeys was one of those things. To see a wild turkey in my youth was really, really rare. They weren't necessarily endangered, but they just weren't as populous as they are now. And now we see flocks of them when it's time. Spring and the fall. They lay their eggs in the spring, so you see them, and then in the fall they move around too, and you see them. Not so much all summer, but yeah, the moral majority was never moral or a majority. It's so true. Jerry Falwell was a big piece of shit, wasn't he? Who remembers Jerry Falwell? What a fucking monkey. I love the theist lingos and bingos. What's that? Carol Smith. Thanks for joining on YouTube. Carol Smith. I love the theist lingo and bingos. I don't know what that means. You got a lot of bears showing up around here. Where you at, Mount Laurel? Um, to have bears? Where you at? But that's the same thing. It's like, bears and wolves and coyotes. I have coyotes all the time. You didn't see a coyote when I was a kid. Um, Lady Luna, yeah, wild turkeys live all over. They do. They really do. Are you from around here? You're in the sticks though. Yeah, no, I know. But here it's like, wow, we're not in the sticks. We're just close to the sticks. If you go to the sticks, you can really see turkeys. But to see them in the city like this, just chilling on the street, very, very different. Liberty U still has a hold on Lynchburg. Also, whiskey has a hold on Lynchburg. I prefer whiskey to Liberty U. Fuck Liberty U. If you're in Tennessee, though, yeah, that explains why you got bears. Um, Bars, they say bars. If you're in Tennessee, that's like actual. I used to think that was making fun of an accent until I went down there and I said to a guy, "So, you guys have a lot of bears around here?" And he didn't understand me. He said, "Bars? Oh yeah, I see a bar every day." Yeah, bears. They're not just in the mountains. They come out and go through your trash and shit. And if you live down in that neck of the woods, but I love it. I wouldn't. I'd love to see. I've seen a grizzly bear pretty close too. And my dad lives in Montana. And that was a little scary. It was running away from us, but it was really, really close when we scared it up. And that's a different beast than a black bear. Black bears will still kill you dead, but boy, a grizzly bear is something else to see in real life. I was in Madison a couple of weeks ago visiting a cousin. You were? Why? You look me up, buddy. If you're in Madison, sin free atheist. Mi mexicano favorito. Ha ido a Madison, Wisconsin, con un primo. Pero que si vienes a Madison me dices. Yo me hago una vuelta por ahí a visitarte. Yeah, mostly black bears. Yeah, well, yeah, that's mostly what you got. Not a lot of grizzlies in Tennessee. Just Hatman 6. Thanks for joining. Of course, religion relies on fear mongering. I feel like, is this your first time talking to people who aren't indoctrinated into religion, Stephen? People who pray to God are afraid of the hellfire they think is in the afterlife. All is fear mongering. Yes, yeah, you're starting to get it. Scrolling back through my comments here. Black Sheep, what's up? Black Sheep 93. Mr. Michael says it's rough living in the Bible Belt. Yeah, I feel for you. We're not in the Bible Belt, and it's still ugly around here, man. This is we're the Wisconsin used to be kind of a blue state, and now it's like everywhere I go, if you as soon as you're out of the city limits here, it's like it's Trumpy, man. Everybody's got a damn Trump sign. I went to this. There's an awesome orchard that their product is just too good. I go out and use them, but I know they're Trumpy as hell, and you can just see it. It's just it's just personalityless, and they walk around like automatons, and they're grumpy and they're mean, and there's just too much creepy right wing republicanism out there. But they got the best cider in the world. It goes up $1 a year. I can't wait till it's like $50 a fucking gallon because it literally was. I started buying the cider. It was $6, $7 a gallon a few years back. It's $11 a gallon now. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's the best cider that I've had since I was a kid in Connecticut, which has great apple orchards. But um, before I made a joke. I'm like, cider goes up $1 a year, doesn't it? And she's like, huh. I'm like, Jesus, grow a sense of humor, man. I get it. I'm here buying it. A prima, una prima. All right, yeah, man. But seriously, if you're coming to Wisconsin, look me up, man. We'll grab lunch. Did you get the whistle on Amazon? I did get it on Amazon. I got two on Amazon. Yeah, I got another whistle. It's a little bit smaller. Couldn't get. I lost this one for a minute, so I got another one. Good morning, Kyle Savchuk. You're here at church for Sunday morning. That's right, man. This is at unchurch for Sunday morning. Yeah, we do this at church time on purpose. Um, Kylie Shannon, I will pray you in. What does that mean? Pray me into what? It's like Invasion of the Pod people. The people I thought I knew changed into teapots. Thanks for the follow. Try give metis. Trig vid metis. I don't know what that means, buddy. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you so much. Sometimes I miss believing in God. Well, you can go back to believing in God if you have it in you. It's not going to hurt my feelings. What's for brunch today? I had nothing. I got hot tea in my Mando mug. It's peach, perfect peach herbal tea. That's all I got going on today. Got to drink it before it's like lukewarm. Vivo, hi Dad. Who's that? Do I have someone out there that I don't know? I said your name correct. I don't even know how I said it now. That's wild. That's crazy, man. I tend to be pretty good with language though, so thanks for that. Use a lot of numbers joined. A username that we can be proud of, my friend. Who is Vivo? Vivo. Hi, son, daughter. I don't know who you are. Calling me dad though. Is that like, hey, dad? We used to get a kick out of calling old people dad. What's going on today, dad? I like calling somebody pops. Maybe it's irreverent. Maybe it's. Oh, you're Norwegian. We get a lot of Norwegian fans, man. A lot of Norwegian people joining up. I love it. I really want to go to Norway on my bucket list for absolute sure. I should say daddy. Okay. Now I remember you. Kevin Rubix, are you on board, my bud? What's going on? Javier Carrasco 91. Mad Max Canada. Love Mad Max, man. We grew up with the Road Warrior Mad Max movies. Loved them, man. What a great friggin' little Australian import was Road Warrior and Mad Max. Beyond Thunderdome, got a little Hollywood after that, but still liked it. But it wasn't Mad Max and Road Warrior, great movies. Before Mel Gibson went completely off the rails as a lunatic. Friggin', is Norway weed friendly? I imagine so. It's probably hard to grow it there. I'm guessing. I'm looking on YouTube now. Native atheist, not a tea person. You know what? I didn't used to be a tea person. I don't like black tea. I think the tannins make me a little vomitous. They make me a little bit nauseous. But herbal tea, I'm down with. Because I had to quit so much coffee because it was rotting a hole in my stomach. But I was a black coffee till noon guy for decades, and I finally had to give that up, and I replaced it only in the cold season. It's getting cool out. The fact that I'm drinking tea should let you know something. Winter's coming, and God, I fucking hate it. But yeah, I like herbal tea, and we have all kinds. We got a whole mountain of tea: mint tea, lemon tea, peach and mango, peach and turmeric, mint. Love me a mint tea. Got some green matcha tea in there. Um, so yeah, tea, if anything, enjoys a wider range of varieties. But coffee, a much more complex beverage, much more like wine or whiskey, with the bottom, a top, a top, a middle, and a finish, complexity, character that tea can't really compare with. I drink watered down coffee and add so much sugar. Ooh, sugar and coffee. No, sorry, can't go there with you. No, I do put cream in mine now just because of the potential ulcer, but um, yeah, tea, sugar. I don't have anything really against sugar. I eat sugar and some stuff, but sugar changes the taste of coffee. Have you ever noticed that? It doesn't just make it sweet, it, like, changes the character of the drink and completely destroys it. If you're putting sugar in coffee, it's because you don't like coffee, really. What did you notice with black coffee? I drink it all day. Yeah, I would drink it. It just was starting to hurt my stomach, I don't feel like I was really the effects of caffeine, I don't think I think that was very minimal on me. I could always go to sleep. Of course, I was smoking weed too, that probably helped. But, yeah, uh I wouldn't eat. That was the problem. I would drink coffee and I wouldn't eat anything either until noon. I would just get up and drink coffee, drink black coffee, good strong black coffee. And it finally just was like, whew, it got rough on my stomach. Uh, 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 Trig is in Hønefoss, Norway. Um, and of course we have the Danish dumpling right here in Denmark. And um, all of the Scandinavian countries sound like except for winter, sound like paradise to me, and I can't wait to go. What was I just watching? Something that was filmed in Norway or Sweden, and it always looks so beautiful. The forests in Norway look fucking fantastic. Oh, Grace, daughter of Christ. No preaching on the train. You do not know what Jesus wants. Why? Because he's dead. I have peace and fulfillment. So your statement is wrong right there. Thanks. You guys can block her if you haven't already. So there's no spiritual world, whatever. There's whatever's in your head, Stephen. You're asking us questions that we can't answer. No atheist pretends to know that we don't. Um, Yawn. Thanks, Black Cat Claw. Yawn. Yeah, she was probably cool. She probably wasn't the kind of person that would have reported us. But who wants to see that shit? Bye. If you come on here talking that shit, you're gonna get blocked. Um, I'm a super taster. Oh, you mean your taste is your taste buds are very sensitive, so you put cream in. You don't need sugar to offset the bitter, just cream offsets the bitter. That's I think sugar just makes coffee to me taste nasty. It doesn't it changes it completely. It doesn't just sweeten it. It changes the flavor in a different way that makes it foul. Have you ever heard of simulation theory? Yeah, simulation theory is not even really a theory. It's more like of just a science fiction fantasy that there's no nobody's that I know of. I mean, maybe one paper out there on simulation theory. It's a moot point to me. It's there's no evidence for it. I don't think, and there's no reason that anyone should care if this is a simulation. We still have to live in it, right? We still have to deal with what we're dealt. So, yeah, I don't know what the issue, what the point would be of trying to um, discover it. I don't know. I guess it's interesting to people. You'd have to be able to have a computer large enough to create such a simulation for everybody to experience in the same way, and I don't think that there's anything that's been shown that we can do that, I don't know. I don't know enough about it really to really talk about, but it seems like a moot point to me. Like, who cares? If it's a simulation, it's a fucking good one. And they really simulated uh, some good feeling, some good sensation for our bodies, and some good experiences for our minds. So if it's a simulation, I'm down with it. Call me simulated. Very few EU countries are weed friendly. It is odd. They do farm hemp for cattle feed and straw makes good bedding. Um, yeah, that's why weed is illegal in America is because they didn't the paper industry and Hearst didn't want um, hemp to take over the pulp industry. We could easily replace the forests that we destroy, the paper that come from the forests that we destroy with hemp. And they knew that in colonial times. And Washington grew hemp, and it's a miracle product, hemp itself. But that making marijuana illegal that's why it became illegal to grow hemp because of that, and that's all it was. It went through a whole propaganda campaign in the 30s to make marijuana illegal just to block the rise of the hemp industry from replacing the forests that people like Scott Paper Company and the newspaper idiots like Hearst owned a lot of the forests that the newspaper was printed on came from. So they didn't want that. It's all economic. It was all about, again, capitalists controlling a piece of the economy so that their status quo wouldn't change. That's really why marijuana is illegal in America. And here we are, getting over it, and it's starting to be. And sooner or later, it will be legal everywhere because the government wants their tax cut. But I didn't know. EU. When I went to Europe, it wasn't hard for me to find. I got hash. I couldn't find weed really, but um, and famously, Holland has been weed friendly forever. It's not. That's like our model, right? In the US, we're like, well, go to Amsterdam and party. So I don't know. Um, I don't know how true that is, Boomer. Very few EU countries are weed friendly. I guess maybe the governments, but I feel like the people um, who want it can get it. Pretty much uh, as soon as they try. I've grown my own weed. I named the strain Malaysian Airlines because once you take off, you're gone. I love it. That's awesome. Malaysian Airlines. Shroud of Trollangelo. Thanks for being on YouTube, my friend. I love it. Tammy Faye's makeup made me an atheist. Not really, but it helps. Yeah, Tammy Faye. Who remembers Tammy Faye Baker? Rest in peace. Poor Tammy Faye. Right? What killed her? Anybody remember? You know? And Jim Baker got rid of the comb over, but back in the day, it was a comb over on him and like this ridiculous makeup on Tammy Faye. Um, like the chick from the Drew Carey show. That's what her makeup was like. Mimi? Was that who it was? Uh, uh, anyway, I'm trying to keep up on the YouTube too. So I am here on YouTube. We are on Instagram. Follow us on both. It's on the bio. Hit the drop down and follow us. Uh, Breech cancer. I think you're missing an S. Yeah, I saw the documentary, but don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm catching up here. Uh, I lean that way, but I think Jesus may be up there. Up where? Up where? We're scrolling back through the comments here. I have a cat and I get two cats in one. What's that mean? They also didn't. You're Dutch, Stephen, and you're here asking these atheistic questions. That's why yeah, for sure. I have a neurological disorder, and one of the side effects is some ways I perceive flavor. Really, Ca- Catling a toe. That's crazy. The brain can do amazing things though, and really, really wild, wild shit that can lead you to believe that shit is real. And that's why people believe in ghosts and uh, all the other spiritual stuff that they believe in. It's all part of our brain. It's all part of our psychology. Not hard to figure out. Got my bagel and coffee ready to listen to one of my favorite logical thinkers. Thanks, Secret of the Sauce. Appreciate you. Secret of the Sauce here. I'm scrolling back because I get ranting and I miss the questions in the comments, and I don't mean to, and I don't mean to slight anybody. If you're asking questions and I don't see them, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I feel like I watch some lives and some people just ignore the comments, um, and I feel bad. I know that I can't keep up, uh, but if you have a question, put it in the question box down at the bottom the dialogue box with the question mark on it. If you're a follower, you can use that, and then it'll stay there for me, and I can get to it sooner or later, and I will answer it. And anything you can ask me, anything too. Um, Tea just tastes like warm water. Yeah, that's kind of where I was at with tea, and even now I make my tea extra strong. because I'm so used to coffee that it's just like, where's the coffee's slightly viscous compared to tea, and just like a cup of tea with one tea bag in it, if you're drinking like Lipton or some shit like that, yeah, you're gonna get that. But I always double up on the tea bags, let it steep for a long time with the cover on it, and I've gotten to where I've got some tea that I like pretty good. Have I written anything recently? I'm writing all the time, but lately, no. I think um, I'm looking at. I wrote. I edited some stuff the other day. That there's a. I might be doing mob tours in Milwaukee in the winter in my off season, which would be very cool and right up my alley. Doing tours of Milwaukee on a little bus, playing kind of a mobster character and talking about famous mafia speakeasies, bars, homes, businesses, the history of the Milwaukee mafia. And so I was sent the script for that. That someone and it was brutal. Someone wrote it, and it was just like, oh my god! I started reading it. It was awful. It was full of typos and just shitty, hard to read language. So I spent time editing that, which I do a lot of that too. But yeah, sorry, no, I haven't read it. Thanks for the sunglasses, man. Love that. Does everyone see that? I guess so. Um, Thanks for the likes, Black Sheep 93. Love you, man. Uh, uh, uh. Is it not sunny where you are? Why? It is sunny today. It's just cold. You're pretty good at reading most comments compared to some other lives. Thank you for saying that, Black Sheep. Thank you. I really try, and that's why I don't like dead air. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to 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 have a minute of silence while I'm going back and looking at the comments. Caitlin Atto says I do have some compassion for Tammy Faye. Uh, that's good. It's good to have compassion for everybody. I don't mean to make fun. Yes, Kitty goes outside and they turn wild. I'm not sure what that's about. Up on the sky. My advice be I had a friend send me a link to Jim Baker selling COVID supplements. I was like, "What?" I thought he was in jail. No, I think Jim Baker's out of jail. Uh, how to tell in-laws not to preach to my kids. Man, that's a rough one. No, the producer's not here. That's why I'm reading them myself. I feel like it's actually somewhat easier for me to do it myself as far as reading all the comments. I appreciate the comment that I keep up with the comments better because that I wonder when I watch other lives, I'm like, um, how do I see a lot of people doing lives and just kind of like looking at the camera for minutes, and I'm like, how is that interesting? You know what I mean? I'm a trained entertainer, and it's just dead air is like I start panicking if it gets quiet for too long, and it's easy for me to just blab, and I'm pretty decent at it, but that's why I like I try to get some stuff from Reddit so that if it does go a little bit, dim here with questions and new comments, I can look at something to start talking about because I don't like the feeling that I'm on doing a live and there's nothing going on. So I appreciate all the comments and all the questions, and I feel like that's what keeps me talking. The temp here it's probably um, now it's probably warmer. It's probably 60 Fahrenheit or so. I don't know what's that translate to, my girl. 17, 16 Celsius. I don't know. But when these mornings now are cool, you wake up in the morning and it's cool out. It's late 40s, early 50s, maybe even a little bit cooler this time of year. But October is like always gorgeous, gorgeous month in this climate, in this part of the world. The September and October can be counted on in the northern temperate zone to be the best months weather-wise. October is rarely ugly. Yeah, the days are short and the nights are cool, but it's often just gorgeous during the day. 70 degrees, um, warm, sunny, uh, enough rain, but not too much rain. It's and oftentimes Halloween is balmy. And you get some years where Halloween is rainy and 50 degrees or 45 degrees. But in general, September, October, and June are the months that have the best weather here. Sick and tired of both neighbors preaching to me. It's so invasive. Both are elderly, being polite. Don't be polite. Don't be polite. You know what? Tell those people thank you. Say it as politely as you can, but tell them to keep their religion to them fucking selves. or go preach to them, you know? Give them a dose of your shit. Knock on their door and like, "Have you heard the good news of atheism? Have you heard the better news of, no eternal punishment and, no, discrimination because of a religious dogma that only some people think is true? Have you heard the better news of a life without, guidance from 4,000-year-old Jewish myths that no one could take seriously if you looked at it objectively?" You know, if you took a guy who already who never heard of religion and already knew what there was to know on the planet, and you handed him this shit and told him that 50% of U.S. citizens believe this shit as though it were literal truth, they'd think you were fucking nuts. It's unsustainably, unsupportably stupid. Period. It makes me nuts that anybody even gives any credence to any of that shit. I get it if you want to believe in a higher power because it just gives you comfort and you go to sleep at night. But to believe ancient dogma that was made up by Bronze Age nomads, why? What about their existence makes their philosophy better than something somebody could come up with today? That's what is hard for me to get my head around. Eternal life is their selling point, but it sounds so exhausting, especially if you have to spend it with them. Am I right, gayest twink? Love my gayest twink. But it does sound exhausting, right? I mean, I think that most people, when you get old and sick and you're ready to die, you know, and whether you believe you're going to a better place or not, I think that's it's what you're talking about. If you had to spend eternity anywhere, what could make that interesting after a certain amount of zillions of years? What? It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. The dude. We do love the dude. You love my passion. Thanks, man. That's why I got into activism because I have this, tendency to get a little bit passionate about the subject, and I don't mind. A lot of people like are introvert types, but that's not me, and so you can't change your stripes, right? And so when I got into this, I figured I may as well go with the flow and do what I do. You can't, people are always like, yeah, how does it serve us for you to do exactly what religion does to us? When you make fun of religion, you're doing exactly what, yeah, well, but I don't care. I'm a guy who fights back. If you don't want to make fun of religion and you want to respect all religions out of hand because you think that's the right thing to do, even though you're an atheist, I can't help you with that. I mean, I'm not here to say you're wrong or right, but don't tell me not to do what I do. And what I do is make fun of religion. Why? Because it's mockable. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's easily mocked. It's a danger to society. It's backwards thinking. It needs to go away. I'm tired of being discriminated because I'm an atheist. All of these things. They're not going to be. Oh, I'm not a Christian. I have no compulsion to turn the other cheek. Not that the Christians who do turn the other cheek in America, they do believe that they still don't turn the other cheek. But I'm saying I don't have to worry about Christian dogma because I'm not Christian. All right. So if someone is coming for me, I, you know, I I don't care if you think it's not helpful or that's me. That's my reaction, right? If a bully pushes me, they get punched in the face. I've been that way since I was little, and I'm still little, and I still punch bullies in the face. And that's what religion is. Religion is society's bully. Most people are infected with stupid. Yeah, most people are followers. Most people can't think for themselves, and most people are affected with stupid. And sadly, in America, we don't educate them to critically think anymore. If we ever did, even if it's controversial, you still have the right to say it. Yes, of course. And as Hitchens said, that's our duty as human beings. It's what we have left to rail against authority. That is the last step towards freeing humanity is the ability to question authority. And questioning religious authority should be at the top of that list for everybody. U.S. fighting back is apparently wrong. They like a world where they face no repercussions. Oh, us fighting back, yeah, not the U.S. Yeah, yeah, exactly. They want to be able and sadly, we have some atheists who are on that side of the fence. Maybe it's not sad, but it's like I love religion. I had an atheist comment that they love religion. They're an atheistic Satanist, but I love religion, and you making fun of religions is counterproductive. Yeah, okay, good. Live your life that way, man. If you don't, if you're so comfortable with your reduced status in society as a Satanist and an atheist, then you're happy with that and you think it's going to solve problems to coddle religion, and you think religion deserves to be respected just because it's religion. Yeah, I can't help you, bud. I can't help you, but nothing deserves respected just because it's someone's firmly held religious belief. Nothing. Nothing at all. All that does is lead to religious exceptionalism and the ability for religion to abuse the rest of the fucking world. Religion needs to be called out when it's stupid, when it's wrong, when it's bigoted, when it's ugly, when it's discriminatory, when it's backwards, when it's harmful to children's brains. All that stuff needs called out, and that's what we're here to do. Self-proclaimed Christians should maybe read the Bible more. Than not, a lot of them can't read. They just, they came up like out of the U.S. school system and they can barely read. They're like Trump. They could read at a fifth grade level, and they refuse to wear glasses because they're vain. Yeah, it doesn't need to be respected just because it's 2,000 years old, or just because it's like, it's just a thing. It's like somebody's religious belief needs to be respected because it's their religious belief. Respect is earned, not given. Isn't that the first thing you learned? If your dad was any good at all, didn't he tell you that respect is earned, son, not or your mother, not given. And religion hasn't earned much respect. And some of them, there's churches that we have in town that do great things for the community. They're not all bad all the time, but just because they're religion doesn't mean they deserve to be respected. Out of hand, it's dangerous. It's stupid and dangerous, and it just leads to the kind of shit that we're in now, where Islamic fundamentalists can get away with cutting people's heads off, or beating people in the public square, or abusing women, or caning you because your beard's not long enough, because well, it's their firmly held religious beliefs, and people can discriminate against whoever they want in America because it's their firmly held religious. Yeah, fuck your firmly held religious belief, man. Fuck it. Not even Christians respect other religions, only their own. They don't even respect other Christians. You know what I mean? You got one church and they're like, well, he goes to the Assembly of God, and then we don't agree with what they think. Christians don't even like each other. They're literally Christians are the personification of egotistic, bigoted thinking. They're all for shit, man. Not all of them. I don't mean to say that they're not all. I know some great Christians. Just the good Christians need to stand up. They need to stand up against the bad ones. They need to make a difference if they want their religion to survive. They have to call out the Christian nationalists. They need to call out the fascists. They need to call out the crimes against humanity that some of their members do. All right, they need to fucking do it. If they're not doing it, they're part of the problem. That's the whole thing. Like, hey, the Christian left, we're here too. We're here too. Yeah, really, what have you done against the Christian right? What have you done to stand up for the freedoms of other religions, of other religious minorities? What have you done to shut down the loudmouth, born again Christian nationalists, Christo fascist, Trumpy fucks that are out there? What have you done? If you haven't, then you're part of the problem. If you're a Catholic and you haven't quit going to church over the pedophile scandals, you're part of the problem. If you're Catholic and you give money still to the church, and they use that money to move priests around and avoid lawsuits and not pay victims, and not get rid of problem priests, then you're part of the problem. All right. Everybody who says they're a good Christian needs to prove it with their actions. And that part of those actions needs to be standing up against the toxic, ridiculous, nasty, awful, creepy parts of the religion, the fundamentalists, the nationalists, the fascists, the extremists, the terrorists, whatever it is that part of your religion has got going on. If you're not actively working against it, you're part of the problem. And I'm tired of you. Who's your daddy? 1379. Are you from Indiana, or are you just making a pun on the word Hoosier? Because who's your daddy? Genesis 19:33-35 is such victim blaming, pedophilic BS. And yeah, I don't know offhand what that one is, but yeah, I mean, the Old Testament is outdated. It's not, there's nothing moral in it. There's nothing that applies to today's morality. There's nothing that is really useful at all outside of Proverbs. That if you go to Proverbs and read through it, it's actually a good read. You're like, yeah, you know what? And then it goes back to what I was saying. Like, the ancient people knew some stuff. They're like, it's better if you don't know what you're talking about. It's better not to argue. Well, all right, you can't say that that's wrong. Or to avoid a fight, or that. But yeah, ancient Jewish law has no relevance to today's morality. It was written for a different time, for a different culture, for a different people. So to pretend that Genesis is true, is honestly the height of stupidity. Anybody who thinks that Genesis is real is someone who needs to go read Joseph Campbell and The Power of Myth. and understand that these stories were told around the campfire, and then they were written down, and the people who wrote them knew that they weren't true. Had no reason to think that any of that shit was true. This is the way that we explained, God's love for the people on the planet, and every culture has its own creation myth, and ancient Jewish culture was no different, and most of theirs was built on somebody else's. It wasn't even original. Thanks for the likes, Charles Grandison. Uh, One thing you've done is stand for separation of church and state. Yeah, I mean, we all need to do that and go support FFRF if you haven't. Um, they need your help. We're losing ground all the time because of the Supreme Court and the Catholics and the Christian nationalists that have been appointed for life, the beer swilling fuckwits and the beady-eyed pinheads that are on the Supreme Court now. They're going to affect us for generations with um, their upholding of Christian nationalism and Christian exceptionalism. Really, really embarrassing. Really bad. I got married in Vegas and no mention of God in the ceremony, and that was gossiped about. If you get married in Vegas, do they really go to God very much? I feel like God's kind of an afterthought in Vegas. Maybe that's just me. I've never been to Vegas. I don't really have any interest in that. I don't. There's about a zillion places on the planet I'd rather go than to Vegas. But I'll probably get there sooner or later. They make it easy and cheap, and I do like to golf. And maybe taking a show, but yeah, going and throwing my money away on gambling and hookers, not really for me. I've also engaged in all kinds of social activism to push back those who would undermine. So good for you, Caitlin. So that's awesome. Who's not going to support FFRF? Black Cat Claw. Who's not? Problem is, sin is what's harmful to God, not what's harmful to humans. The problem is there is no God. Thanks, Black Sheep. And how could anything be harmful to God? Explain that to me. If God is all powerful, how could anything be harmful to God? You see what we're getting at with this? It's just the silliness of all of it. Now these people want to take God out of the public square. How can people take God out of anything? Oh yeah, that's right, because we made him up. So yeah, we can actually take him out. But if God was real, then we couldn't do anything to hurt him or harm him or take him away from anything. The idea that we want to take God away is a tacit admission that we put him in. Where's the logic? Where's the people's minds? Where did you go to school? Who's a believer? Caitlin's a believer? You can support FFRF and still be a believer. You know what I mean? The Americans for the freedom of Americans for the separation of church and state is a religious based organization. That it's all they don't want to be associated with atheism. They're one of the larger uh, groups that fights for separation of church and state, but they're not atheistic. And in fact, as an atheist, I had a hard time getting them to even talk to me because they don't want to be associated with the atheist movement. They are uh, run by a group of religious people who understand that separation of church and state makes their church stronger, it makes their religion stronger, and that it's the right thing to do politically. Um, so, to be in favor of separation of church and state is not an atheistic effort only. It's for people who understand that both things are better without it. See, yeah, our girl Caitlin Gatto is religious, but I don't see any problem with people being atheists. Yeah, well, that's cool. So can I stitch you? Lupus Spoonhead. Lupus Spoonhead. Can you stitch me anytime you want? Lori 2 and join. Thanks for joining, baby. Mm-mm-mm. Who's got lots of new content? And I'm trying to go back to Lupus, Spoonhead. 'Spoonhead. 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 'Spoon Yay, so you told me to let you know when I make a vid, especially my never believed vid. Are you starting to make videos, Lupus Spoonhead? Is that what we're talking about here? And good for you if you are. We need more creators. How can it hurt God if you exactly? Poor Gid is defenseless. Poor Gid. Poor God. Yeah. Oh, he's so sad. He's like, God's heart is breaking. Have you ever had people tell you that? You're breaking God's heart right now. Really? Thanks for the follow, Dire Makers, 28 FBI. Thanks for the follow. Uh, cool. Check out Lupus Spoonheads. Check out Loopy Spoonhead. Check out their channel. See what they got. So there are no sins to be held accountable for. Are you still on this, Steve? Are you not Dutch? I'm no, there are no sins. No one is going to hold you accountable. There are laws. If you sin against, and I use the word loosely, if you sin against society, they come and arrest you. You know, if you do things that are against the law, that break the moral code that the citizens of a country have, they have laws and they put you in jail for it. No one's going to judge you for shit when you die. There's nothing that's going to happen. There's no one out there. You are going to die. You're not going to know anything after you die, and no one is going to judge you. Period. I hate to be in America with the state on how much religion is pushed. Yeah, we're all embarrassed. Unholy bamboo, thanks. Yeah, it's embarrassing, and it wasn't like that. I grew up religious, and the country was less religious. Now I'm not religious, and the country is more religious, and I can see it, and it's just it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be a U.S. citizen right now for more of the reasons than that, but that's the big one for me. And honestly, it's how I vote. You know, people, and that's the way it should work. You should vote on the issues that are important to you. We got a lot of people in America that vote on strictly on Second Amendment because they're so scared someone's going to take their guns, which is a dumb fear. No one in America is coming for your guns. No politician, no group, nobody is coming for your guns in America. That's never going to happen. It's unrealistic, and you're wasting your vote if you're voting on that because that's never going to happen. Period. It's never going to happen. If that's what you think is important, then you need to reevaluate, especially if you've already got your guns, right? Because if they try to take your guns, that's when you use them, right? That's the idea. You know, when the government turns corrupt and they come for you, you got your guns. You got the militia. That was the whole idea, right? They don't that the citizens have the right to arm themselves so that they can defend themselves against a corrupt government. That was a part of the whole idea. Because believe me, we were sick of dealing with corrupt governments as a colony. And we lived on the frontier with bears and warmongering, not warmongering, but violent Native Americans who either wanted to rightfully take revenge on those who were stealing their land or who were warlike in general. There's the whole myth of Native Americans being peaceful people who we just came and stole. They know those people made war on each other all the time. It doesn't make what we did right to them, but the Native American tribes who populated the land were in many ways exceedingly warlike. They made war on each other all the time, and they drove the Vikings right the fuck out. You know, Viking expansion pretty much stopped. We know the Vikings came to North America. We know that they came to Iceland, and then Greenland, and then Nova Scotia, probably, right? If you look at the map and work your way down, people are pretty sure that the Vikings made it to New England. The problem was that they didn't find monasteries like they did on the coast of England to just sack easily, or little villages of farmers. They found people who had fucking weapons and the attitude to fight back, and a lot more of them than could fit on a few Viking longboats. And so, they discovered the people who beat them the fuck back out of the country, and that was about the end of that. So the idea that we wrested the country away from these poor peaceful Indians it's a little bit of a spin on myth. There wasn't there's no evidence that like the Native Americans were particularly peaceful as a group of people. But I am not defending what we did. It was still disgusting, and we had no right to come and take their land from them and drive them into genocide. That's not what I'm getting at. Um, thanks. Yeah, that video about the windowless churches was surprisingly popular. I couldn't get it out of my head that this guy was like insisting. This idiot was like insisting that like You're wrong. Like I would lie about. So it just like got my goat. I'm like, why would I make that up? I don't give a fuck if there's windows in Jehovah's Witnesses Kingdom Hall, not churches, Kingdom Halls. So why would I either not be able to count windows or purposely make that up? And he's just like, they all have a minimum of 6 windows. You don't know what you're talking about. And then he sends me a picture of his church, and he's in Jamaica or someplace. You can hear like birds of paradise in the background. You can see palm trees, and the Kingdom's Hall that he's showing is like a shack on an island somewhere in the Caribbean or somewhere else in the tropics. Obviously, the tropics. Of course, it's going to have windows, man. They don't want people to suffocate. They probably don't have air conditioning, and they need the friggin' windows in a place like that. But for him to tell me that I'm wrong and that every Kingdom's Hall has a minimum of 6 windows, literally what he said. When I've grown up watching Kingdom's Halls my whole life, and I've literally never seen one with windows. And I'm sure there are some somewhere in America that do have windows. Likely they were purchased and not built. But if the J-Dubs build a building, it ain't had no fucking windows, my friend. None at all. And people are like, oh, there's windows in the door. Yeah, try crawling out of one of those if you have to in a fire or an emergency. They don't even open. So yeah, doors aren't windows. But yeah, that was funny that video took off like that. My pastor said, "What do you say? Come into my office. I got something for you." Creepo. I am an expert at counting windows. Thank you. Thank you for that. I absolutely a window counting maven. Yeah, the Native Americans aren't a monolith, of course. Yeah, they aren't a monolith. There's peaceful tribes that got taken over by the warlike tribes. So yeah, I don't mean to make any assumptions that are sweeping generalizations or stereotypes of Native Americans. I'm just saying, we have this vision, this idea nowadays that like the Europeans just came here and destroyed peaceful Indians. Yeah, excuse me, Native Americans. When really a lot of those Native American nations were not particularly peaceful. It's not a justification what in any way whatsoever. Our Kingdom Hall looks like prefab garages. Yeah, that's kind of what they look like, right? If I ever went back into church, I won't. I want an escape route. Yeah, man, I was lucky when we that. This is when my last forays into a church was when we were in college, and the local Pentecostal church, which I'd never been to one. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Where, like I said, I grew up a mainline Protestant. People sat quietly in the pews, and they put up with an hour of service, and then it was over, and you went home and you did what you had to do. But if you go to like a Pentecostal church, it's not like that. And they had a presentation where they were calling out rock and roll for being Satan. We're like, oh, we're in college, we're freshmen and sophomores. We're like, we're gonna go see this, man. We got to make fun of this. So we all dressed up like punk rockers and like put on like makeup, um, just to be provocative, right? And we went, and no one said anything to us. We sat in the pew and we listened to the program, and we watched the guy do his thing, and he showed like some album covers, and he like talked about. But when that part was over, it came to be a real church service, and like people started like raising their hands and like speaking in tongues and like crushing towards the front of the hall. And my friends and I were like, we don't want to be involved in this part, man. We need to get out. And there was a side door, thankfully, in that church there was a side door. And no one stopped us, but we had to kind of push ourselves out through the crowd, and we busted the fuck out of that side door. Talking about an escape route. After you posted the TikTok, I checked the Kingdom Hall in my hometown. There's none, but the one by my work has windows. Yeah, there's some, I'm sure, that have windows, but I've honestly never seen one. I've never seen one. And I've traveled a lot in the States. Thanks for the likes. Atheist in South Dakota. He's my guy, man. He's always here for us. I love you, bud. Um, yeah, that's funny. My church tried converting rock and roll people by playing rock. I think that's a real tactical, and not just at your church. I think it goes on everywhere. They've really evangelical churches, Pentecostal churches, Assembly of God style, holy rollers we used to call them churches. Those churches have all adopted a rock band. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's really very unique at all anymore, and it's because you're exactly right. It's because of that. It's to attract the rock and roll crowd and to try to keep it modern. Excuse me. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everywhere, and even the bigger mega churches, right? They all have like a stage and a rock band, and I think that they think that makes them more accessible to young people. Sadly, the hate and bigotry against LGBT people makes them less attractive to young people, and so and the rock's pretty bad. So I don't think I'm not sure it necessarily works all that much anymore. One here looks just like a rock concert. I went with a friend and I was surprised. Yeah, I think that's how they are. A lot of them. I watched a snake handler video. Somebody one of the guys from our local group sent me a video about the snake handler guy in Kentucky. I never actually watched that. It was only a 7-minute video on YouTube, so I watched it, and he got his face bit off, and at the end, he's like starting to swell up, and he's like, "Turn the cameras off." After talking all this shit for the first 7 minutes of the video, how he took it over from his dad. His dad died from getting bit by a snake, handling snakes, and I got all this justification about it. He's like, "Every time I get bit by a snake, I know it's because I didn't do something right for God." And of course, he's saying it with his Kentucky accent. And he's every time I get bit by a snake, I know I should listen to the Lord. I should have waited for the Lord's word. And if I die from it, then I die. It's my time. And his poor wife is like, I worry about my children. They don't want to see their daddy die in church, getting bit by a rattlesnake. And this fucker's like literally just grabbing snakes and they can talking to them. But they have a rock band too. There it was. Right at the back of the snake hall was a damn rock band. I always found it very strange when Christian churches are now LGBTQIA plus. I don't know how to feel. Yeah, I mean, the liberal Christian churches want to attract um, people from the LGBT community. They're all just trying to get people in the door. So if you're a liberal or progressive Christian church that's going to accept LGBTQ people, you're going to go that way, and it keeps the people who want to be Christians who are LGBTQ. Uh, it keeps some of those people coming to church, and I come at it from the other side. I don't know why those people want to be Christians. Christianity is obviously anti-gay, and because someone created a non-anti-gay church doesn't mean that they can escape biblical doctrine. They just gloss over it, right? They cherry pick in their own way. They just leave that part out. Well, it doesn't really apply to today, and Jesus still had a good message. But Jesus was probably gay, right? Somebody else was hitting me up about the language of the John, Jesus, the John, the disciple that Jesus loved. I don't know if that means Jesus was gay. I think that the writers of the New Testament had a lot of snark. I think they had a lot of agenda. I think they had a lot of fun um, using figures of speech and expressionism and uh, storytelling techniques that we don't really understand because it's not a part of our culture. And you can dissect it and study it all you want, and we're never going to know. But I have a feeling that those people who wrote the New Testament or the Gospels, especially, and are making up the stories of Jesus based on legend and myth and stories. I think they probably, like a lot of writers, had a lot of fun putting hidden messages in, inside jokes, and maybe some of that was Jesus' gayness because some of those writers were gay. You know what I mean? That wouldn't surprise me at all. But there's no way to know. But I don't think it's a stretch to assume that whoever wrote that stuff had all kinds of hey, they're in a room with their other writers. "Yeah, look what I put in here. You get it? You see what I did there in this pun?" And it's lost on us because it's not part of our language. It's not part of our culture. So who the fuck knows what the Gospel of John meant by John, the disciple that Jesus loved. We do know that the ancient Greek had a lot of words for love, and different kinds of love. So that he might have meant anything by that. He might have meant it was literally his best friend. He might have meant is his lover. It might have been just the guy who wrote John being snarky about I was his favorite. This is me, John, writing, and I'm just going to keep on putting it in here how uh, I was his favorite, and this is my book. Who knows? Can we write a book on the miracles of Joe Pesci? Where's the Mad Hatter today? Are you here, Matt? I did it backwards. I do that sometimes. My ears blow out. Cognac Sniper. Thanks for the rose, my friend. Uh, I'm looking at the YouTube here quick. And thanks for being here. There's been a few people making comments that I love that. Yes, respect the Shroud of Trollangelo. Trollangelo. I love that. Respect is a two-way street. TV Canarius has a good live feed for the lava. Curious among us. Canarias, like the Canary Islands TV Canarias, or Canarias. You didn't put an accent, so I'm not sure how to. Uh, I tried to break Voldemort's heart. He just did. How you just make fun of his nose or his lack thereof? Voldemort only had eyes for young boys. Really? Okay. Native American civilizations, and there were thousands lived together for tens of thousands of years and fought wars like every tribe. Yeah, I mean, yes, they absolutely did. Thank you, Boomer, for that. It's true. Um, uh, what is weird, and but maybe he was married. We don't know that, but the story, it's true. The story of Jesus, he might have been married if he existed, and they just left that out because they don't they wanted him to be sin free and considered him, sex to be too too temporal, too carnal, too of this earth, and so to make him a single preacher, went with their storytelling better. That there's a million possibilities on why Jesus was not married in the stories. We have no idea if he even existed, of course. Whether or not he was married is moot. But I'm a Scorsese fan, and I was there at the opening in Chicago of the opening night of the Last Temptation of Christ. We couldn't wait to see it, and man, did they come out against that! Ooh, the protesters were in the street, and that's part of why I wanted to see it. I wasn't an activist. I was only, I don't know, 25 maybe when that movie came out, um, but loved it. Love Willem Dafoe, love Barbara Hershey, love Scorsese. It's a great movie, and of course, it makes there's a dream sequence in it where Jesus, before he dies, has a vision of what his life would have been like if he had given up his ministry and gone ahead and married Mary Magdalene and had some dirty, dirty sex and a bunch of little Jesus brats running around the Adobe or wherever the fuck they lived in Judea. And of course, that was just like, oh, it was so awful to think of Jesus having sex, even though it was in the context of marriage. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, in the movie. But yeah, that's always been a hot topic, hot subject for the people, my friend. Uh, um, oh yeah, so I didn't finish answering about Matt Dillahunty. Someone always asks, California Dreamer asked me if I watched Dillahunty. I don't. I know Dillahunty and I've met him and worked with him a little bit, but I don't have time for that. But I do like Matt Dillahunty. I like the way he thinks. I like the way his brain works. Um, oh, you love the soundtrack to Jesus Christ Superstar. I love that. It was back when Andrew Lloyd Webber was good, man. Before Phantom, but before Cats, and before all this gloppy fucking prefab cookie cutter. Uh, Jesus Christ Superstar is a great soundtrack. We love that. My mom had it growing up, and I want to say she even took me to see the movie at some point, which is really rare for her to let me see a movie like that with adult themes. But I think she like just took it so like it was another devotion to Jesus to be into Jesus Christ Superstar, which I never understood because uh, it's not really about the divinity of Jesus. There's no resurrection depicted. It's literally just about the life and death of Jesus, and the anachronistic way that it's written and filmed is just fantastic with Roman soldiers with modern equipment and tanks and all this stuff and the rock and roll era that it was written in. It's fantastic. I still listen to the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack once in a while. And who killed Jesus Christ Superstar worse than John Legend? Vanilla ass, boring, bland, America's guy, John Legend, got to play Jesus Christ Superstar, got to play Jesus, which I suppose I thought was a real coup. Oh, let's let a black guy, kind of black guy, play Jesus Christ like it should be, right? At least a brown guy. But he can't sing like that. He cannot sing like that. And if you watch Ted Neely do the original, either from the Broadway soundtrack or the movie soundtrack, um, that's how that part needs to be sung. And John Legend just doesn't have he didn't have the range. And no slam on John Legend. He's obviously a super talented, you know, successful artist, but um that production of Jesus Christ Superstar, they played it on Easter, I think on TV. And I watched it just because I love the show. And I was just like, this is terrible. Man, what a boring ass version. Speaking of soundtracks, Prince of Egypt was a favorite of mine. There's a soundtrack to that. Can't say I ever watched. Isn't that a cartoon? Wasn't that a cartoon about Moses? My dad and I loved rocking. Yeah, how about it, man? It's just a great Herod's song with the soft shoe feel to it. I just, come on, King of the Jews. Do, 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 do. Prove to me that you're no fool. Walk across my swimming pool. You do that for me, and I'll let you go free. Come on, King of the Jews. Just finished the book 10 Things Christians Wish Jesus Didn't Teach. Read. That sounds good. There's a recommendation for you. I don't read enough books to recommend very well, but there's one for you from KJM 09113 1113, excuse me. Just finished the book 10 Things Christians Wish Jesus Didn't Teach. Great read. Look for that book. Uh, fiddly my sack. Is that what that said? Thanks for joining, man. That's my favorite one of the day. If I read that right and it went by because they go away, it said "fiddly my sack." That's awesome. Mm-mm. I put that movie on and just dance. Yeah, how about it? What about Hemet Meta, the Friendly Atheist? Hemet I know quite well. I've met and worked with Hemet too. Just interviewed him for a couple of podcasts ago. If you watch or listen to my last 2 or 3 podcasts ago, it's Hemet Meta that was my guest, and yeah, he's great. He's one of those guys. He's a little bit to the left of where I would fall, and reactionary in that way, but he's not wrong, and he calls out Christian nationalism every day in his blog, and he's great. He's great for the movement. He's a great guy, and he's right down the road in Illinois. Took my kid to mass this morning. I need this live to cleanse my soul. Why? Why'd you take your kid to mass? Animal Claire, just to take him to teach him about Catholic mass. Yeah, we could have skipped all this and just been created in paradise. Thank you, Black Sheep. We could have been. That's another thing about it's like why? What is this? Oh, this Earth is a test. Oh, this or the. It's all such bullshit and justification for what could easily be explained by an all-powerful God. They could have just made us perfect. It could have just made us in paradise, and maybe we are. Maybe this is, heaven. If old boy could just speak up and tell us, we'd know. But no, we have to guess, or people have to guess. Some of us don't care. But the people who are into religion have to guess what God wants, and then they guess what God wants, write it down, and then pretend that they know what God wants, right? Even while they're saying that no one knows God's inscrutable plan. The Gospel according to Mary, have you read the Gospel of Mary? I've not, but the Gospel of Daniel, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Judas, these are all Gospels that were left out of the official Bible when people decided that they didn't jibe with church doctrine. That's it's all part of why we know the Bible is bullshit. We know it's not anything. We know it was cobbled together and edited in a way that suited the early church. Period. My heaven is on the beach, and I am not there. Yeah, how about it? Uh, yeah, she calls him husband. My husband. Oh, in the gospel? Yeah, I should get around to reading those. My guy Richard Carrier knows all about the lost gospels, man, and he's read them and lectured, and I've heard a lot about them that way. But again, yeah, it's just for the same reason I don't watch Atheist Experience. I don't read. I just don't have time right now to read a lot of stuff either. And to my eternal shame, I'm not proud of that. It's just my life right now between work and creating on TikTok and taking care of what I got to take care of. I don't find a lot of time to read stuff. So I appreciate your recommendations, you guys. Churches can stay, but they need to leave out the religion, keep the other things. Churches should stay as museums today. Turn all churches into museums, and put a gate around them, charge $1, and tell people this is what non-thinking people used to think. Um, yeah, life does get really busy sometimes, my girl. I don't know if you're a girl, Lupus Spoonhead. You got a girl and a guy. Oh, James Grooves. Oh, you're a man. All right, James. Have you ever heard of Owen Morgan, the Telltale Atheist? No. Owen! I say Owen because of Throw Mama from the Train. Everybody remember Throw Mama from the Train and um, the great Anne, what was her name? The actress. I'm sure she's gone now, but who played Danny DeVito's abusive mother? Who says his name like that? Owen! Owen! So anytime I see anybody named Owen, I pronounce it Owen. It's really disrespectful. Sorry if your name is Owen. Love you. I was thinking churches could stay for the potlucks. Yeah, I love church growing up. I really did. We had a good time. I joined the choir. I joined the singing groups that were outside of choir that would put on shows for the community. We had band. It was like Mark Twain. It was like growing up in my little white New England church was idyllic. It was gorgeous. We had frog jumping contests. We had old timey shit from the 1800s at a band concert, cakewalk. It was just it was fabulous, and no one ever preached hellfire. No one ever threatened you with eternal punishment. No one. It was all about living a morally centered life based on the good parts of the teachings of a guy who nobody knows if he existed or not. It was it was just that um, removed from literalism. It wasn't a painful experience. It wasn't traumatic. It wasn't horrible for me. I don't regret it. They taught my Sunday school taught us about other religions. It was what church is missing. You know what I mean? Is what we've lost in today's society is um, that kind of church that the mainline Protestants who are disappearing, created in the country. It's really too bad because we didn't deny science. We loved science. We embraced it. We just figured, yeah, there's God behind it all. That's all. So it was easy to leave, religion when I got older. It's funny that when politics or religion is failing, they use each other. Yeah, it's funny when I think Ben Franklin said when religion needs the government's help to stay going, it's a pretty good sign that it's a bad religion, and that's where we're at in the good old U.S. We're at the point where evangelical Christianity wants the government to promote their religion, and that's because they're failing on their own. They're losing parishioners. They're losing asses in the seats. Right? They're losing income. They're losing the demographic is declining. It's in decline, and um, so they're trying to enforce it on the government so that the government can promote their religion. And as old Ben Franklin said, that's a pretty good sign that your religion sucks. If it just doesn't excite people on its own and keep people in it, then what the fuck? So yeah, it's too bad, but that's where we're at. We're at a point where evangelical Christianity wants the government to support their point of view in order to prop it up and keep it going. There are some truly cool non-theistic churches from Jainism and Discodianism to humanist church. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know a lot about Jainism or Discodianism, but yeah, there are. There's and they're mostly no. Benjamin Franklin was not Unitarian. He was a I want to say his parents were Quakers, but he was a deist. He was too educated to be at that point to be anything but a deist. And I'm pretty sure I just looked that up not that long ago to be sure. But yeah, I think his parents were Quakers. I tried to go to a Unitarian church, but they had too much woo going on for my company. Yeah, so the Unitarian churches are all different. There's no real defining liturgy to a Unitarian church. They seem they're more all accepting. The one downtown here, it depends on who they got as a pastor. The pastor at the local one used to be much more esoteric, worldly, kind of spiritual based, and the new one came out of Christianity, out of a different, and so that's much more Bible based, and her sermons are revolve around New Testament theology. And if the people are in the seats are okay with it, then that's the way it goes. But they not have a Buddhist prayer bell, to like throw a bone to Buddhism. So that oh, we're Unitarians. We have a Buddhist prayer bell. We have a couple of secular Jews in the audience who just want to be part of the community, and we got a bunch of Christians who believe in Jesus but you know don't like the hardcore churches out there, so they're here. It just depends on where you are. Unitarianism is not one thing anymore. And I've been to a lot of Unitarian churches. They're generally allies of the atheist movement. But if you go to one that you're not comfortable with because it's too full of woo, then there you go. I mean, they still believe in God for the most part. The one that was here had Wiccan groups in it too. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the people that are in it and who they've got running the show. What your Unitarian church is going to push. There's one up in Racine is largely where the LGBT community goes if they still want to be going to church. They know that they're not going to get kicked out or discriminated against or preached against if they go there. So it's turned into a more of a LGBT club with an LGBT pastor, and most of the people in the audience are LGBT folk from the community. I think they've actually lost that pastor, so not might be changing. Um, a friend said they went to a UU church and said they weren't welcoming to atheists. Yeah, like I say, uh, just depends on the church, you know. I used to go to the one in Oak Park because in Illinois because it was Frank Lloyd Wright building, you know. And I went with a girlfriend because she was into it. She was like thought she was a Unitarian, so I went to be supportive. But it was cool to go just because it was a Frank Lloyd Wright building. It's a famous, famous building in Oak Park, of course, where Frank Lloyd Wright's studio was for many years. And there's a lot of buildings and homes in that town, and that's one of them. And they were obviously very, very new agey, non, you know, non preachy, uh, progressive, LGBT accepting Unitarian church, you know. But if you go to one that's not, that you just might need to find another one. They're all different. But that also brings me back to the other comment. The guy said that some of the churches are beautiful buildings. Yeah, and a lot of them are Catholic churches. That's why I say they should all be made into museums. If they're not stick house pieces of shit that are dangerous and need to be condemned by the fire department and burned down, like a lot of these country churches are, because they're not safe, then they should be saved for their architecture alone. A lot of them are gorgeous. There's like, oh man, St. Alphonse in Chicago, we used to walk in just now and again just to look at the flying buttresses. Gorgeous architecture just doesn't happen anymore. Oh, you're in Schaumburg. I didn't know that. Loopy Spoonhead. What's up in Schaumburg? A lot of airplane noise from overhead and a lot of traffic from the malls, you know. Schaumburg, one of those suburbs, my friend. Been there many, many times. Uh, pretty standard Midwestern concrete suburb, wouldn't you say, Schaumburg? Or do you really love it? Tell us about Schaumburg these days, my friend. Ever seen any ex-Mormon stories? Yeah, of course. In the groups we have ex-Mormons all the time coming to the atheist groups, and they tell their stories. You know, I think it's I tend to see ex-Mormons are fairly common. You know, I think that a lot of the younger generations of Mormons who were raised Mormon and just got away from their families, just they quit it, um, and now we're like atheists telling their story. Um, you're not Otangelo. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Native atheist is here. Churches can get turned into public spaces and remove the religious symbols. Yes, Carol Smith. Thank you on YouTube, Carol Smith, for saying so. Exactly my point. They could be, like park spaces. They could be halls for you can rent out for to use for any purpose. They can be museums where you can charge people $1 and say this is what people used to believe. I unsaved my husband. Good for you, Mushroom. Mushroom 1962. He really loves you. He likes you better than he did religion. So you did good. I went to Prague Castle, and that has the most gorgeous church inside that I've ever seen in Crowley. Yeah. And again, back in the day when there wasn't any TV and there wasn't any internet, and there wasn't any, toxic pocket rectangles for everybody to have their faces glued to 24/7. People got things done, and a lot of those people were religious. And Notre Dame, Notre Dame, dans Paris. Uh, it sadly burned. My heart broke when I heard that Notre Dame had lost part of it to fire. That's a shame. I mean, these buildings are historic, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with religion. Our want and our need to preserve the culture of our past should absolutely uh, extend to beautiful churches and cathedrals, regardless of the toxic religion that they plied for centuries. Because we don't, nothing gets built like that anymore. Right here in Kenosha, we get buildings that are 100 years old that they would never build again. The civic buildings, the post office, and the courthouse building they're gorgeous. The money that it would take to build those today would never happen, and it's not even that long ago that they did it. But marble and hand cut stone features and stuff. I mean, we've lost so much in this modern world of prefab, quick and fast, cheap and easy, planned obsolescence. And so imagine what how beautiful things could be if we still let artisans actually make some of the things that they used to and that they don't anymore. Old churches had pinnacles built into the art. Yeah, why not? Uh, uh, Thank you, New Old London, for saying so. New Old London comments. I'm doing amazing work. Thank you. Thank you. I'm humbled by the comment. New Old London. I'm glad you think so, my friend. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to help usher in the end of religiosity in America. And again, I don't care if you're religious personally. Just keep it out of government. Stop indoctrinating children. Stop um, trying to enact laws that affect the rest of us when most of us don't care. about your dogma. We just don't. Um, and that's what I'm doing. So if it helps anybody, if it reaches anybody, I'm really really grateful to all of you. It is 12:30. I'm going to blast off now in the Central Zone. 1:30 already on the East Coast. Thank you for joining, everybody. Love you so much. I will be here again as always on Wednesday and on Sunday. It's Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Central Time, and every Sunday at 10:30 Central, 11:30 on the East Coast. Thoughts on biblically accurate stories? Yeah, there's a couple more questions. Lucky you for seeing Notre Dame before the fire. Uh, 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 the Great Flood actually happened. Oh, the Great Flood. Who cares? It actually happened, but um, Noah and the ark and the animals didn't. So I don't know. There's a lot of debate on the Great Flood. I don't really give a shit. People, there's 50 people who will deny what you're saying about the Great Flood. But maybe we can talk about the reality of the Great Flood scientifically and the evidence for it to cover the whole world. Yeah. All right, buddy. Take care, everybody. Love you long time. I would climb through the camera lens and make love to every one of you if you could. I will see you next week. And thanks for joining on YouTube. A little bit active today, and I appreciate all of you. I am going to blast off now. Take care, everybody.